Just go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw green bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls.
Freeze run.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Greenbean.
Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my lovely co-pilot, Mr. Matt O'Leary. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing much better now that the season has come to a close. The dreadful 2025 New York Jets are no more. And it's time to do what we do best, baby. Let's talk some off-season content, all things we love to do.
It feels like we're back at home. There's optimism. There's excitement for the future. A little bit of bickering about quarterbacks, a little bit of bickering about the head coaches and all the stuff that's going on. We feel like Squidward looking out at SpongeBob and Patrick as we maybe want a different head coach at the top of the regime. Boys and girls, I do have a poll question in the chat. If you could have one, Harbaugh or Stefanski or other, you guys could drop a comment in there as we go. I'll probably change this because it's a pretty lopsided poll at currently standing, but it is what it is. Boys and girls, make sure you hit that like button. We're going to pick a qualifier at the end of this stream for every 10 likes we get. And someone's going to get a chance to win a hat, shirt, mug, jersey, something like that off the spin wheel. If you send in a super chat, you'll also get yourself entered as well. Matt, I'll keep track of the super chats on this side of things, and then you can keep track of the likes if you want to do that. And then if you're watching this after the fact, drop a timestamp comment down below. Our guy that won last week, Sing, was a timestamp commenter from the previous video. So definitely get yourself involved in all this. But let's jump into it. Before we get into some of the offseason stuff, let's just recap a little bit about our year. Thoughts overall, Matt. What did you think about this season based on your expectations prior and then how it ended up?
So I had pretty low expectations. I predicted the Jets would have a losing record. I thought they'd win 7 games. 7-10 was my prediction. Unfortunately, they underachieved my low expectation for them this year. And I think there's a lot of factors that went into it. Looking back on the season, I kind of break it down into 3 sections. The first is like the first 5 games, and there were probably 2 games in there that they should have won, with either the Bucs game or the Dolphins game, and obviously week 1 against Pittsburgh. But you start 0-5. There's a couple blowouts in there that looked ugly against obviously Buffalo and then against Dallas. The next 7 games, they were like kind of just like a normal bad team. They were 3-4 in their next 7 games. Had a couple close losses to Denver and Carolina. And if they had better quarterback play, I think they would have had a chance to win those games. And then they just blew it sky high, right? Like the last 5 weeks was about as obvious of a tank as we've ever seen in the NFL. So it's really hard for me to evaluate it in just like those last section of games. But using the whole 17, I still think it's a disappointing season, even with the lower expectations that we went into this year with. And I think Aaron Glenn and this staff goes into year 2 with a lot of pressure on them to improve drastically.
Yeah, I think my expectations prior to the season, I think I had us at 6 wins. And I feel pretty good about it because we got the 3 and then we lost the close ones to, you mentioned the Bucs, the Steelers, the Denver was a 1-point game as well. And when you think about those teams, it's like, all right, how did we get so close to beating those teams and then have the rest of the season we sort of saw. I thought when we drafted or when we brought in when we brought in Justin Fields to be the quarterback for the year, I thought it was the right move. I wanted a year that was kind of a soft tank that would allow us to maybe have a long shot at a young quarterback. Maybe we could just, reclaim something, strike gold, that sort of a thing. Obviously, that didn't work out, and we wound up going the tank route. And then, like you said, the last 5 weeks of the season, they just pulled the plug. Brady Cook and everyone is getting deactivated, and I think we lost 5 straight weeks of 23 or more points. Lost. We have the least amount of yards from a leading wide receiver in NFL history, with under 400 yards from Garrett Wilson. Guy didn't play a snap since October. You have the interception record. No interceptions the entirety of the season for a defensive head coach that was a former defensive back. That just seems blasphemous. It's like a statistical improbability. I think the lowest turnovers in a season to this point was like 8 or 9, and the Jets got 4 on the year. So just a really embarrassing year from that perspective. The last time, I think they started recording stats on interceptions in 1932, and then we've done the first. We've the first time this has happened since 1933. And in 1933, there wasn't even a jet plane, in production. So it's we predate our own mascot. Like, not even just the mascot. Like, it's not like the Titans or whatever. Like, no, we're talking like we're not planes. Like, we're closer to the fucking Wright brothers flying around than like a jet in the air. So I don't know. It's just super embarrassing. And like every year we get to this point where it's like, oh, you don't think it's going to get any worse? Like, it can't get worse than this. And this year we expected, it's probably going to be a little rough. A lot of dead cap from Rodgers, a lot of kind of resetting the culture and whatnot. And man, it was worse than we could have expected. These last 3 years of football have been like some of the hardest to watch, I think, in a very long time. I think the most excited I've been, short of like the Rodgers excitement going into the season, that first year, was like the Mike White year prior to that, where we like almost sort of had a shot at going to the playoffs and then just sort of fell flat. I don't know. It's a disappointing season. My expectations were probably set a little more appropriately than some of the Jet fan base. So I didn't allow myself to get too high or too low at different points. It'd be real nice. We were sitting at number 1 overall, sitting at number 2. I got a little bit of anxiety. It's nice that we don't have to trade up, but the hope is that Dante Moore actually declares and comes out. And like, man, if he does go back to school, I feel like that's a massive slap in the face if you're the New York Jets.
Not ideal. It certainly wouldn't be ideal. I know there was the whole Todd McShay quote. I did a video on that this morning. I think it's pretty ridiculous if we're gonna talk up the Raiders and then be like, oh well, the Jets, you can't possibly go there. The Raiders have had 5 coaches in 5 years. They've won 2 playoff games. Or they haven't won a playoff game in 23 years and only made the playoffs twice in the last 23. I think the stat was something along those lines. But point being, there's a lot of shitty teams in the NFL. The Jets are particularly shitty. I don't want this to come across like I think that everything, it's pie in the sky over here. It's clearly not. But for Dante Moore, is he going to go back to school for $5 to $7 million, or would he take the close to probably $50 million guaranteed for a number 2 overall pick? I'd take my chances with the generational money. What if you go back to school and get hurt? What if you go back to school and you're like the 10th pick or the 12th pick and like QB5? I don't know. Being a top 2 pick in the draft is life-changing money. So I think he'd be stupid to pass that up.
Not to mention, I think there's an outside shot, not even an outside shot. I think there's like a pretty decent shot that he could go number 1 overall to the Raiders, where if you come out next year, Arch Manning's coming out, like there's a very high likelihood you are not going to be the number 1 overall pick anyway. Like, in my mind, I don't understand like really how the insurance policies work. Like, I'm sure if Dante Moore does decide to go back to school, he'd have to have some like $100 million insurance policy on his legs or like on his body in the event that like things went sideways and he got hurt. But like, look at what happened to Drew Allar. Guy was considered, a first round caliber talent and just jacked up his leg this year. And now you're talking about him maybe like end of day 2, maybe a day 3 pick. And it's just super disappointing. Dante Moore, I think a lot of us probably feel he needs another year. I think 25 games is usually the threshold people want to see on quarterbacks. He's going to be at 20, I believe, as of this Friday when he goes against Mendoza in Indiana. But I don't know. I mean, does starts maybe in like the preseason, does any of that potentially like count towards that total?
Get you over the hump.
Yeah,
I think it's
let's say he gets to the national championship and he gets 21, and then we have 3 preseason games. That's 24. I'm feeling like kind of okay. I don't know.
Feels a little copium to me, but
Fuck ton of it.
And that's totally fine, by the way. But there's a lot of people that like Dante Moore, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's teams that like Dante Moore more than Fernando Mendoza, because teams fall in love with ceilings, right? And I think people who like Dante Moore see a very high ceiling, and the knock against Fernando Mendoza is that he might not provide as high of a ceiling, but may have a higher floor. And it's not crazy to think that with a number 1 pick, someone would take a huge swing on that. But if I'm projecting the best route or best chance of success for Dante Moore in the NFL, I don't think it's playing right out of the gate. I think he's young. He's 20 years old still. He should sit. He should get a Patrick Mahomes year, or at least half a season, right? Like, I don't think he would be best suited to be tossed into the fire early on into his rookie year.
Yeah, I like the idea of letting him sit a little bit. Maybe someone like bridge quarterback, maybe a former number 2 overall pick out of Oregon, Marcus Mariota, decides to come out, and there's a little bit of wisdom that could be shed, between guys of a common, I guess, lineage, if you want to say that, through Oregon. I would be very upset if he doesn't come out, because where do the Jets go with this number 2 overall pick in that sort of scenario? And I just don't really want to get to that point in my head. We should find out pretty quickly. If Oregon loses this week to Indiana, which I would think, I don't know what the spread is, but I would think they're lower. I would think they're the underdog by maybe like 4 points or something like that. And then if they lose, we would find out probably by like Monday that he's either returning or coming out of the draft. I see Jake in the chat. Hey, Jake, what's up? He says, is Glenn the Jets head coach in week 1 of 2027? Great show. I think Glenn is the head coach, because I don't think Harbaugh or Stefanski comes here. I think there's more opportunities that are more advantageous, like Harbaugh going to the Raiders. My buddy's a Raider fan. He's pretty sure that John Harbaugh is actually a Raider fan. So, like, does he want to go over there, go against his brother for the next few years? That would be cool. An absolutely wild division for head coaches, between the 2 Harbaugh brothers, Andy Reid and Sean Payton. Does he go to the Giants? The Giants are a pretty attractive landing spot with Dart, a top 5 pick. They don't have as much salary cap space, but you can kind of see the footprint and how they're going. There's rumblings of like, 7 teams have reached out to discuss with Harbaugh's agent if he's, an option, where he wants to go. And there's only 6 head coaching openings. There's 7 if you include Baltimore. Baltimore's obviously not calling about Harbaugh. So there's 1 team out there that has a head coach that is currently talking to Harbaugh. My gut feeling is that the Jets don't have a shot unless Harbaugh wants to sit a year out from coaching, similar to what Vrabel did. I would hope that's kind of the route he wants to take. I like that 1-year reset to kind of think about what you want to do. Maybe he becomes a consultant on a different team like Vrabel did. And then, then it kind of aligns with our timeline a little bit better. You got the 3 first-round picks. You would think if he wanted to coach Arch Manning next year, the team that gets the number 1 pick probably more than likely would be getting a new head coach, and he would be able to choose that team.
Yeah. So is there another scenario though, like in your mind, like if it just goes badly and they'll do their own coaching search for 2027 and not for one of these guys? Because to me, I think, like, I don't know if they win 4 games next year or 5 games. I don't know if that's enough, through 2 years to give them a 3rd season. So I think it's really dependent on it.
Oh,
I don't
Glenn,
know.
He says, is Glenn the head coach week 1 of 2027? I'm thinking 26. No, I don't think so. No, I do not think 26. I don't know if he makes it to the end of 26. I think if he has more of the same, we might see something happen like mid-season. That's why I think I'd like to go a defensive coordinator, or if you could get Stefanski in here as like a senior offensive assistant / assistant head coach, then like you have someone that's in the building that could maybe keep a similar staff or something. I don't know. I'd like a former head coach as like on our staff somewhere, whether that's DC or an offensive assistant.
Yeah, it's look, I think he has a lot to prove in 2026 in order to be here for that third year. You know, if they take that leap similar to what I hate to keep bringing it up, but similar to what Detroit did, right? They won 9 games in year two. If the Jets win 9 games next year, yeah, Aaron Glenn's going to be back in 2027. Hell, even if maybe if they even win 8 games, he'll be back. But another 3-14 or a 4-13 or 5-12, probably not. Probably doing their own coaching search in 2027.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Whatever way we go in for the next head coach, I feel like it just has to be offensive, unless you're getting someone like Harbaugh, which is like, you know, a former special teams coach, CEO style coach, that kind of a thing. I'd be open to that, but I'm so over like the defensive style head coaches at this point.
The Jets always hire defensive-minded head coaches, but also the only 2 times in recent history that they've hired an offensive coach has been like the worst coach in Adam Gase and Rich Kotite. So like, how does this keep happening? It's like, oh, you know, we're gonna have a million defensive coordinators in a row, and then okay, you know what? We're finally gonna try our luck with an offensive coach, and it's arguably the 2 worst coaches in franchise history, up there at least, right?
It's got to be up there. I mean, Glenn's putting his own stamp on that potential like worst head coaching sort of thing. But yeah, just absolutely brutal. Jake drops in, says, we hired a DB coach and didn't get any interceptions, which should be impossible. His job is safe. We should just jump. Yeah, I think Glenn's job was safe probably from like the minute he accepted the job, like understanding like, hey, look, if I'm pulling the plug on Rodgers, we're going to have, I forget the exact dead cap, if it was like $70 million or $80 million in dead cap this year, you know, we're going to have Justin Fields as a quarterback. Like, yeah, I can bring him in and, you know, he's part of like our first year, but I don't think anyone's deluding themselves as thinking like, oh, this guy's like 100% going to be like the guy moving forward. I think Glenn's job has been safe. And especially once they pulled the plug and went to Cook, like, Tyrod was very clearly the best quarterback on our roster. And I felt like the 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was, sample size that we got from Tyrod was the most evaluation that we could do on this roster across the board. That's when Mechie and Mitchell looked their best. You were actually getting ball placement that was really like pretty sound. But he wasn't pushing the ball downfield. So there was like, you know, some issues there too. It feels like the Jets offense, if you swap out the quarterback for like top 15 caliber quarterback play, you're going to be like firing on a lot better cylinders. The defense 100% is chaos.
Story. Whole nother story.
Yeah, totally different story. But the offense doesn't seem like it's that far off. Like if I could go into the draft or go into next year and you could tell me like, hey, the Jets have franchised Breece Hall. They have brought in and drafted a wide receiver too. They have, signed a guard or drafted a guard relatively like high 4th round, like an earlier. I'm feeling pretty decent. Like when you mentioned the teams at the top of the draft, the Raiders have a dog shit offensive line. The Cardinals don't have a whole lot to speak of either. Like what team at the top is really better than kind of the Jets? Like aside from Woody being just a terrible owner and like the coach not necessarily knowing what the hell's going on, we've got the tackles, we've got the wide receiver, we've got the running back, tight end's pretty solid so far. Like there's not too, like as far as like top teams that could have a high draft pick, the Jets are really not that bad of a landing spot.
For an offense, yes, I agree with that. Now, the defense stinks, and there's major question marks about the head coach, and that from that aspect, and the owner isn't very good either. Like those are legitimate issues, and like newsflash, the teams picking towards the top of the draft stink. But there's situations that are better than others. The Jets, for a bad football team, have a pretty good offensive line. I would say above average. I don't think quite reached where I thought they could be. Like I don't think they were a top 10 unit, but they were a top half of the league unit, probably in that 11 to 16 range. They have a number 1 receiver in Garrett Wilson. If they had a number 2, like you said, through the draft in either the 1st or 2nd rounds, I think you feel pretty good about that. I like the tight end. I like the running back room. If they bring back Breece Hall, you could do a lot worse. The 2018 Jets offense and the 2021 Jets offense was nowhere close to what the Jets would be putting out there in 2026. And that's a slight positive. And I know with after 3 and 14 season, no one wants to talk about the positives. And again, this isn't me saying that everything is completely fine, but just isolating, putting a young quarterback in this situation with the team and the starters on offense, it's not as bad as what it's made out to be.
Citybird comes in. Thank you so much. Says, rank them: Stefanski, Harbaugh, Cliff, Flores. I would say Harbaugh 1, Stefanski 2. I really like Flores, but I'm going to put Cliff in front of him just because I want the offensive-minded head coach. So you could flip-flop Cliff and Flores if you wanted to, but Harbaugh would be my number 1 for sure.
I would flip-flop Cliff and Flores. So I would have it Harbaugh, Stefanski, Flores, Cliff, of those 4.
No arguments there. Jack says, sup boys, if Moore doesn't declare, do you trade back? The issue with trying to trade back is you need a team willing to come up. And who is willing to come up? Or are you willing to take a relatively big loss on, trade compensation? Like maybe it's the Jets falling from 2 to the middle of the round in order to get a relatively reasonable trade package. That's too far for me. If Moore declares, or if Moore does not declare and he goes back to Oregon, I am probably drafting at 2, and I'm taking one of Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, or Caleb Downs, I think would be my pick. I like the receivers. I wouldn't be opposed to a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson or anything like that. But I think I would. I feel like blue chip wise, Styles and Downs are the 2 lead pipe locks that these guys are going to be studs. And getting someone that's kind of a statement player for your team in Styles, as much as I don't want to spend a number 2 pick on either one of these guys. I think that might be the route I end up going. I don't know. What would you do at number 2 if Moore does not declare? Is it the wide receiver for you?
It might be Arvell Reese, just because I feel like he could do so much for you on defense. You could line him at edge or play him at linebacker. I like Sonny Styles a lot. 2 feels really early for that. I think there's a chance Arvell Reese could be the best player in this draft. And I know and I don't blame, I can't read the commentary. His name here, I can't see it for some reason.
It's
too far
Jack
away.
Follinsby.
There we go. My screen is very small up top here, but Jack, I understand why he's thinking that way, but they have so many picks. I don't think this is a year where they need to trade down. They need some players here. And if there's a blue chip level player for you at 2, I feel like you got to just sit there and take the player, man. You have 2 firsts this year, 3 next year, 3 number 2 picks over the next 2 years. That's a lot of ammo. Eventually, you got to start taking the swings, man. The trade back is fun, but you put yourself in a spot where you're not in line to always get the best possible players.
Jake comes in and says, we should have never let Vrabel leave the building. I don't think, as much as he said, oh, no, it was actually a legit interview, and I, kind of, I wanted to go there, and, the Patriot job was a perfect circumstance, and he was always going to go there the moment that job opened. I think a lot of us were pretty surprised that he didn't get the opportunity the year prior. But I agree. I mean, Vrabel was the best thing to walk through our door in recent years, I feel like. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Vrabel, Matt?
I mean, I loved Mike Vrabel. He was my number 1 choice. Unfortunately, he wanted to go to the Patriots. I don't know. You can't tie the guy down and say you have to take this job. Sign the paper, or we're not letting you leave the building. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And I know money talks, but I don't know if there would have been a price for him going back to coach a team that he won Super Bowls with as a player. I don't know if you're going to be able to beat that opportunity.
JJ says, "Oh, please, no more. We may as well keep Fields." That's insane to me because Justin Fields has been hot dog water. And I would say because of the way the season ended and us not going back to Fields at all and him going on IR, we are sure as shit going to June 1st cut him, and he'll go, be a backup somewhere, Philadelphia or, whatever. But Yeah, I'll admit I'm not sold on Moore. I'm not to that point yet. The best thing that could happen is that he balls out against Indiana and makes that decision to come out. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we got to root for. Like Jet fans, you should not be making plans on Friday night. You should be saying, you know, tell your wife, tell your girlfriend, we got to get an early dinner, do something quick because I got to be back in front of the TV at 7:30. We got to watch Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore go at it. I'm kind of with you. I like Fernando Mendoza. For me, after the numerous misses the Jets have had at quarterback, I feel like they've taken the big swing for the ceiling and it hasn't worked. And I think Mendoza could still be a good player. I know he gets a lot of Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff comps, and man, I would sign up for a top 15 quarterback right now too. But could he also not be Matt Ryan? I mean, Matt Ryan was a pretty damn good quarterback in this league for a long time, an MVP. Probably should have won a Super Bowl also. I like Mendoza more than I like Dante Moore. I'm worried about the variance with him because I think he has a better chance to be a top 5 quarterback than Fernando Mendoza does. But I also I don't think there's a chance Dante Moore's out of the league in 5 years. I think Fernando Mendoza is still going to be playing football 5 years from now in the NFL.
Yeah, I would go so far as to if the Raiders were kind of mulling over picks, I would trade up with them and I would secure Mendoza. I don't know what that looks like if it's pick 44. I don't know if I'd necessarily want to pull the trigger on a first, give him pick 16 to guarantee that we're getting Mendoza. But I feel much more secure in Mendoza than I do with Moore right now. Jonathan, we're going to jump down to your super chat. Thank you so much for the 10 spot, dude. Says, does Woody realize how scalding hot Glenn Seed is? We all accept Jets will be bad next year. Does Woody know that we win at most 5 games next year and the convo will still be here with Glenn? Look, if we win 5 games next year, Glenn's gone. There's no way he makes it beyond next year, short of an impressive trending up kind of needle. If the Jets wind up losing games because the offense is firing on all cylinders, the young quarterback's looking good, but there's just the defense doesn't have the horses in the stable or something. I think his job's safe. I think a lot of it's going to be the eyeball test. But I think if he gets to five wins, there's no way he comes back. And as far as does Woody realize how scalding hot Glenn Seed is, it's up to Woody to decide how hot Glenn Seed is. If Woody doesn't give a shit and he's just hey, I told him he's going to be here 2 years at least, it is what it is, then Glenn Seed isn't hot at all. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Jonathan's super chat here?
I totally get where he's coming from, right? I think Woody does realize how hot the seat is. I don't know if they win at most 5 games next year. I think if you're asking me today, I think 5 wins is probably fair, but we don't know what the offseason is going to look like. We don't know whatever they decide to do at quarterback is going to look like and how that'll look. And that changes a lot for you. Coach and quarterback are the 2 most important things. And we very well, a year from now, we might be doing a show where Aaron Glenn got fired on Black Monday. That's absolutely on the table, and I want to pretend that it's not. That would be disingenuous, but it's still an unknown to me. I don't think it's definitive that he's out.
Zorlus comes in and says, who are the guys that you would like to see as our DC, and who do you think actually gets the job? Also, hopefully we can get our hands on Anzalone in free agency. Yeah, Anzalone has been the, or however you say his last name, is the guy that we've talked about, I think, the most in terms of a veteran linebacker coming in, someone that Glenn knows. You combine him with a rookie linebacker in the top 2 rounds, and I think you're feeling a lot better with those 3 linebackers heading into next year. As far as who I think gets the defensive coordinator job, Raheem Morris is an interesting name because he's a Jersey guy. Jim Leonard would be fun. Jim Schwartz would be fun. I would like someone that has either some pipeline to be a head coach or was a head coach in the past that might be able to have some experience for Glenn to lean on. And also, like, if you wanted to pull the plug midseason on Glenn, you have someone there. Now, remember, Woody's only pulled the plug on a head coach one time in season, and that was Robert Saleh last year. So still a very good chance that Glenn finishes all of next year. Yeah, I would say one of Jim Leonard, Raheem Morris, and Jim Schwartz would be like the short list for me in terms of the three guys. Any names that you're kind of mulling over?
My two favorite are Schwartz and Leonard. The two. Then I think Raheem Morris is an okay option. I don't think he's bad, but he doesn't like really move the needle for me as much as those two guys do. Al Harris intrigues me a little bit, just to throw another name in there because of what he did with Dallas and Chicago, and how they've gotten defenses to turn the ball over a lot there, which is clearly a big issue here. So I would consider him too, just to toss another name in there. But I think the number one tier for me are the two names that I just brought up.
Shavanchu, thank you so much. Lama Bean says, I'd be real angry if we keep AG if there's a chance of Harbaugh, like when we kept Rex while Andy Reid was there and Rex got fired the next year. I would be very surprised if Reid would have really considered the Jets in that year. The same way I sort of feel about Harbaugh right now. Like, I don't think Harbaugh is mulling over the possibility of the Jets. I think our best shot to try and get Harbaugh is hoping he sits out a year. The Jets team looks a lot better next year. Maybe they draft Dante Moore and he looks like he's trending in the right direction. And then you have 3 first-round picks to utilize next season. I think that's honestly the best shot. I would hope that we are doing a little bit of recon behind the scenes to feel Harbaugh out, but I don't think we're a particularly attractive landing spot. And I don't know if Woody's going to eat $48 million worth of like Glenn's contract to then have to turn around and pay Harbaugh like $20 million a year or whatever he's going to get.
Yeah, that's asking a lot. I look back because I was curious. Reid went to Kansas City in 2013. So Rex coached 2 more years with the Jets in 2013 and 14. So you'd have to move on after 2012, which is when they fired Mike Tannenbaum. So like that's kind of when this all really started, right? Like where he did the half measure and then you had it was a mess and a disaster, but you guys know the story. I get where Shavanchu is coming from on this. I really do. I just, like you said, I don't, with all the options out there, I just don't think Harbaugh is going to be banging on the door to come to the Jets.
Yeah, like off the top of my head, like the Raiders and Giants both feel like great options. Baltimore now, I mean, granted, he's not going to Baltimore because he just left there, but those 3 spots are light years above where the Jets currently are. Then you've got, Atlanta has some really nice pieces around it in a division that's, definitely winnable. The Titans, I don't think is a particularly great job. I think Nagy probably has the inside track there because of the relationship with the GM from his time in Kansas City. What other teams am I missing in there?
Sorry, who did you list off again? I was reading the comments. I missed it.
We got the Giants, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Ravens, the Titans. I'm missing 2 teams. Browns. See, we were talking in our group chat. I said the Raiders. Oh, so maybe I didn't count the Raiders on this last go. All right, well, whatever. I think there's a lot better options. I don't know if the Browns are a better option right now.
No.
Like they have 3 quarterbacks that all don't seem like good quarterbacks to me. It feels like they're very much in like a punt year next season and then, kind of reset. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of stuck with Glenn because of circumstance more than anything else.
Yeah, I think you're right. And something else you brought up is I think at the trade deadline, his fate was already sealed. Woody sold off on them selling and, realizing that this is going to take a minute here.
We got Lou, going to jump down to you. Thank you for the 10 spots. Says John Harbaugh, $30 million a year, 2 years up front. Sounds crazy, but Jets are about to lose good free agents, fans, and massive money next year. Woody is rich. Eating money is no issue. Money talks. I mean, I don't care if we pay Harbaugh $50 million a year. It's all Woody's money and it doesn't count against the salary cap. So yeah, whatever. If money is the way that this gets done, I throw silly money at Harbaugh and you get him in here, let him do whatever he wants. If he wants a new GM, that's, fine. He's the one head coach that I've been keeping an eye on the last few years, hoping that we'd have an opportunity to maybe pounce on. I really think it's going to be a 1 year off. He's going to be paid like a head coach next year anyway. So, as long as he doesn't accept another head coaching role, he can double dip his salary. Kind of like what Cliff Kingsbury did. Cliff was getting, I think even next year, Cliff is getting paid from the Arizona Cardinals as a head coach, and having that ability to kind of be an offensive coordinator, take a step back, develop Jaden Daniels and all that, while collecting that salary and double dipping with the offensive coordinator salary. Super beneficial. So I think there is a possibility that Harbaugh doesn't sign this year, and that gives us our best shot at getting him, because I think next year is the attractive spot.
Yeah, you're right. I don't, unfortunately, with all the interest that's already out there, I'd be surprised if he waited that year.
City Bert comes in and says, Jets are probably picking in the top 5. The Jets probably are top 5 in drafting the last 5 years, and it got us nowhere. We should not think the draft will help us in any way. I mean, the draft is really our only way to get talent, because talent doesn't want to come here because of who we are. Like we are locking guys into 3, 4, 5 year terms with the Jets when you draft them. That's why getting so many draft picks in one shot is beneficial. That's why the offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, the Jermaine Johnson pick, Breece Hall pick, that's what was so special, because you had a bunch of guys that believed, that were from winning organizations, and then, getting Rodgers, that was the magic sauce that could have all come together to really make something special. And then when the Rodgers thing fell apart, you kind of got to redo it. And now we've got 5 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. I mean, heck, the 33rd overall pick is essentially an extra first-round pick. So the Jets are in a really, really good spot to add a lot of premium talent. I think I disagree with you, City Bird. I think the draft is the best way for the Jets to gather talent and to try and turn this around. Matt, any thoughts on City Bird's comment?
Well, you know what is a big reason for that? They missed on quarterback and left tackle in 2021 and 2020. 2 of the most important positions, and head coach matters too. So, when you miss that badly at quarterback, and what that missing on left tackle with Mekhi Becton, what that did to this team, unfortunately, it's really hard to recover from that. They tried it with Aaron Rodgers, and we'll never know because he got hurt in week 1 in 2023. But it's really the only option that they could do. And look, the reason why they have all those picks now, or have these picks now, is because they traded 2 of their homegrown guys in Quinton Williams and Sauce Gardner.
J-Mo comes in. What's up? He goes, stick with Glenn. Who really cares at this point? I think we're going to get a very high draft pick next year. I'm not opposed to the idea of building out the roster. If Dante Moore doesn't come out, then, you're probably just going best player available at every single pick. You just try to stockpile as many talented players as you can. If he doesn't declare, I don't know what you do about Breece Hall. Do you invest the franchise tag in him, hoping that you maybe take a mid-round swing on a quarterback? That doesn't generally work out. Do you try and make a trade for someone? Is there an opportunity to move the number 2 pick for an established quarterback? But that doesn't really make sense if there's no quarterback there to be taken. I don't know. I understand the the who cares at this point stance from J-Mo here.
Yeah, we're kind of just I don't know, dude, going through it, man.
Going through the motions. Our O-line is ranked 21. Tittman was our best offensive lineman. Tittman was 73 overall. Worst Olu was 107 overall. I think a lot of that has to do with quarterback play and holding on to the ball, because a lot of guys wind up getting sacks, and us being down all the time is just a lot of passing opportunities and not really running the ball much. I'm pretty happy with where our offensive line is as it stands, regardless of what the rank currently is. I think Tickman at guard is what I would like to see. I want to throw silly money at Linderbaum if he decides to test free agency. And then, you know, if you want to draft a guard to replace Simpson or AVT or whatever, I'm game for that too. Matt, what are your thoughts on the offensive line?
Yeah, I don't know where JJ's was from, what that ranking was. PFF had him at 14. I think that passes the eye test to me. That seems a little bit more correct. And I do think part of the reason why maybe it might be lower elsewhere, I'm wondering if they're just looking at, like, if some sites just doing rankings, if they're looking at pressure numbers and be like, oh, there's a ton of pressure in sacks. It's like, well, I don't know. What was the time to throw for Tyrod and Justin Fields? Probably pretty high. So a lot of context matters with offensive line play. Again, like, I'm not saying the offensive line is perfect and an elite unit. I think they're an above average unit, and another year together, I think would only do wonders. Like Olu started to figure it out in the second half of the year. Membu was awesome. I love Tippmann at guard. I think, you know, like you said, if you add a Linderbaum, that really puts it over the top. But even if it is just bringing back John Simpson and Josh Myers at center, still think it's a good unit.
𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐞𝐞𝐚 comes and says, would any good coordinator want to come here if Glenn is on the hot seat? Wouldn't they be worried he can be fired next year and not take that chance? Well, I think that's sort of why you go with a former head coach, because I think that opens the door for them to potentially have the inside track on being the head coach next year, like in, you know, halfway through next year or in 2027. I don't think any top, you know, young defensive coordinator is really going to be knocking down the door. Like if there's I don't even know, an up and coming defensive coordinator, I insert whatever name you want. I don't have one off the top of my head. I don't think that type of defensive coordinator would come here, but the former head coach, I think, could, and or former Jet even. Like we mentioned Jim Leonard earlier in this. Matt, any thoughts on, you know, it not being an attractive landing spot for maybe an up and coming defensive coordinator?
I don't know. It depends on who we're talking about. Like for Jim Schwartz, maybe, because he's been a defensive coordinator, had a ton of success. But for someone who's never been a defensive coordinator, I think you're gonna take that step up from being an assistant to getting your own unit, just because, you know, that's the natural progression. But there's only 32 defensive coordinator jobs out there, just like there's only 32 head coaching jobs out there. So, you know, Jim Leonard is an assistant. If Vance Joseph gets hired somewhere to be a head coach, then he's probably staying in Denver and being their DC. But I don't think it would stop him from taking a job if available.
This is an interesting question. I like this one a lot. From JNNJ says, would you move out of pick number 2, Dante Moore, for pick number 3, Kyler Murray, and a 2027 first, or a similar offer from Cleveland? So this has gotten a lot of traction within the Jets community because of the Jared Goff-esque kind of spin to it. If the Jets had the opportunity, like let's say Moore didn't want to play for the Jets, or maybe we weren't sold on Moore, I don't know if this is a trade that would happen in advance of the draft, because I think there's still a shot Mendoza could fall to us, and I would rather get Mendoza if an option. But at the number 2 pick, if it's Dante Moore and you're not sold on him, and, you know, 2027 looks better, Kyler Murray's probably going to play better than any rookie quarterback right now, that probably has a better chance at saving Glenn's job, quite frankly. And you get an additional pick. I don't know if you get a 2027 first, you know, from, you know, whatever from Arizona, but I would definitely do that. Like even if you get a 3rd round pick in 2026 and Kyler just to move back, you still get the best non-quarterback on the board. I would definitely be open to that discussion. And I don't like Kyler as a quarterback particularly.
I was going to say that's the hard part. And the contract isn't great either. And it's
like 44 million, 35 million. So he's basically got 2 years left on his deal. And then the 3rd year doesn't have much guaranteed money at all. The guaranteed money for 27 becomes guaranteed like the 1st or 2nd day of the league year this offseason. So I think it was 44, 38, and 45 maybe million the next 3 years.
Okay. It's still a lot. I'm not the biggest Kyler fan at this point, but I mean, you're getting a 1st round pick back for it. If he was cut and you could sign it, I know you're not getting a first rounder for it. Like that maybe changes things, but is he the culture guy that they're looking for? If there's clauses in his contract about not playing Call of Duty and actually watching film?
I don't think he's the culture fit. I think it's the I need someone to save my ass fit for Aaron Glenn. Like that's where I think it comes down to. Like if there's a veteran option out there that we could make a trade for, I almost feel like that's the direction they're gonna want to try and go.
I disagree with that because I think with the rookie quarterback taking that swing, and if you put him in and he plays well, then it's, oh, we don't want to mess with the mojo. Like we found this rookie quarterback and he's playing good football. He just needs another year, and then they'll take that jump from 6 or 7 wins up to a playoff team. So I think I'd argue the other way, actually, with the drafting a quarterback might extend his timeline rather than acquiring another one plus another first round pick and handing the next coach 4 first round picks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I look sort of like at the Giants and I see Daboll and it's like, all right, he got the quarterback right. The quarterback was playing well. Like quarterback was playing very unwell. Like after Daboll's gone. I don't know if it necessarily saves you. Like even if you're playing well, if you're still losing games, I don't know. I don't feel like Glenn's the guy anyway, so I'm probably like jaded into, maybe skewing a lot of my thought processes towards him not being here long term. I would feel more comfortable if they don't feel confident in Dante Moore to not make the pick and to just build the roster and, obviously trade out of that pick. I don't want to make the same mistake we made with Zach. And that's not to say that Zach and Dante Moore are the same player, but investing that high of a pick in a quarterback that maybe isn't the guy really sets your team back a lot. Sure. I just know Glenn can't really wait on a quarterback because if we don't go quarterback early on, he's probably gone anyway. He's not going to ever get
his chance to take that swing.
Yeah. And that's the part that really irks me. Like, I feel like they're going to force the quarterback pick. I'm glad that we're in the 2 pick, so it's not like us giving up a haul of picks for him to force the quarterback pick. But just really, really tough to kind of go through these motions. JJ says, I would take Mike McCarthy right now. I mean, I'd be on board. I think we haven't heard his name come up in like any of the coaching searches yet. So like, I wonder if he takes a year off and then comes back. Have you seen anything on McCarthy to any team?
No, I mean, this was his year off, right?
That's right. That's right. He wasn't a head coach this year.
So if he was to take the year off, it would be getting back into it. Now, I'm not a really big Mike McCarthy fan. Is he? He's obviously more proven and a better head coach than Aaron Glenn currently is. I don't want it to pretend like I think that Aaron Glenn's a better coach than Mike McCarthy. I don't know. He just doesn't really move me a ton.
Senior offensive assistant. Jets got to bring in some offensive dude, and like McCarthy on the offensive side, based on like what he's gotten out of quarterbacks, I would definitely bring him in. I agree with you. I don't know if he's necessarily like the cure-all as like, hey, he's a head coach for us, but I think at the very least that would fulfill my want of having a former head coach in position on the Jets, and someone that the quarterback could have some consistency with is appealing to me as well. Dante comes in and says, I'm sorry, but this whole fire Glenn versus keep Glenn debate has gotten crazy online. Yeah. It sucks. I hate going back and forth on this. I think fans just got to realize like Glenn's here. Like we very clearly tanked the end of the season. Woody would not look very good in the eyes of a lot of other head coaches if he pulled the plug on Glenn after, essentially, I don't want to say they told him to tank, but like it feels very clear that the plan was, hey, we're tanking. And not to mention there's the whole shitstorm with Flores being asked to tank, and was it Caldwell with the Browns being asked to tank? If that happened with Glenn and it being like a third black head coach that has been asked to tank and like submarine their careers, like that would just be an absolute fucking shitstorm that I don't want any part of.
Yeah, that's not something that you want to open up, I think.
Yeah, I think you roll with Glenn and you hope that he can figure it out. And if he doesn't figure it out, then you fire him based on the merits as opposed to like pulling the plug on a tanked season. I think there's less blowback from that. Born comes in. Thank you so much for the 10 spot. It says, I would prefer someone with head coach experience on staff. However, I think that would make things awkward and really uncomfortable for AG. That is that person is gunning for his job. Well, hey, AG's got to win or he's not going to have a job. So like if bringing in a former head coach that, was clearly made a head coach because of their expertise in a particular area of the offense or the defense, like, shut the fuck up, Glenn. I don't care. Like, get the best guys in here so you can keep your job. Like, you start winning games, you don't have to worry about the guy on the roster. If you lose games, you're gone whether that guy's on the roster or not.
Yeah, no, exactly. On the coaching staff, he doesn't have that luxury, right? And I guess Steve Wilkes wasn't really much of a threat to take over as head coach. It depends on who he brings in, right? Like, I don't think on the defensive side, I know Jim Schwartz has been a head coach and Raheem Morris has been a head coach, but I don't think either of those two guys are really threats to take over. Cliff Kingsbury probably would be a threat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Todd Haley, right? He was almost hired last offseason by the Jets as like a senior assistant. If they brought him in as an offensive assistant, yes, he's been a head coach, but I don't think he's really a threat. It depends on who it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Alan says, I have nothing positive to say. Thanks for giving me something to watch this season, fellas. Alan?
Oh, it's appreciated.
Or Al Medican? Al. I'll call you Al. Thank you, dude. Glad you were here for the ride. Definitely more entertaining in the offseason.
That's
sure.
True.
Abbott says, boys, Harbaugh ain't coming here. Glenn and Muji set it up. Let them build it. Let's pray Todd McShay is not a moron, unlikely, and Raiders draft more. Yeah, look, I think Matt and I are both in agreement that Glenn and Muji, because of the trades they made, because of like what they were inheriting, that they're more than likely going to at least get next year to kind of figure it out. I agree. Let them build it the way they were planning to build. As far as McShay was, close buddies with Joe Douglas. Like, he's had an axe to grind with the Jets since they got rid of Joe Douglas. So I'm not taking much of what he has to say, super seriously. As far as like the Raiders possibly drafting more, I think that is definitely a possibility. There's some smoke to the idea of Flores and Dable ending up in Vegas with Tom Brady, and like with the number 1 overall pick. If I'm looking at Dable's kind of quarterback, Dante Moore fits that bill better than Mendoza does. And I think that's sort of the path forward that you hope it goes down. And then Mendoza falls to the Jets at 2. When I think about like Brady, if Brady's going to have a hand in it, it sure as shit feels like Mendoza and Brady would get along super well. So I guess it depends on what direction their head coach goes, and then their offensive coordinator might give you a little bit of insight into what the Jets could do. I wouldn't move out of pick 2 until I know Mendoza's not an option. That would be my thought overall.
Oh, absolutely. And look, if you're asking me today, I think it's more likely that Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 pick.
Agreed.
I don't think it's a 100% though. I think there's a chance that a team, and the Raiders being that team, could like Dante Moore more than they like Fernando Mendoza. It's not like a Trevor Lawrence draft. There wasn't a clear and obvious number 1. So it really depends on the preference of that coaching staff, whoever gets hired there. And good news, we have months to think about it and talk about all the different scenarios.
Gonna dissect these guys till we are blue in the face. Let me in. Says, you guys think Lamar played a part in Harbaugh getting fired, being that the reports said they were not getting along? I think it came down to, we have to move on from one of these two guys, and it's a lot harder to get a quarterback that could have had a 3rd MVP last season. So I think that was probably part of the calculus. I think it's not dissimilar from what happened to Andy Reid in Philadelphia, where the message just sort of gets stale a little bit. You just got to refresh some things. I think the same thing could happen to Tomlin. And I don't think it's necessarily an indictment on the coach itself. I think it's just, you got to refresh it at some point. And I think Lamar being a quarterback and a top quarterback at that at 28 years old is much harder to replace than a head coach at this point.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. And sometimes it just runs its course. He was there for 18 years and won a Super Bowl, had a ton of success there. They've had some really tough playoff losses in recent years. Kind of in a way similar to like Sean McDermott. Like a part of me wonders like if the Jags win in the first round and they beat Buffalo and Buffalo's one and done, like it wouldn't surprise me if they moved on from McDermott. It's not that these guys are horrible coaches. I just think that sometimes you gotta shake things up to get yourself over the top, and I think that was their mindset on why they decided to move on.
Joe the Jet says, what are the percentage chances that Moore declares? I think a lot of it's going to come down to this game this week. I say that because like if he shits the bed the same way that like Alar kind of did last year, I think that sort of was the nail in the coffin for Alar. It's like, okay, I'm going to go back and try to like up my draft stock. With Moore, if he has a really bad game because of the quarterback class that we're in, I still think he goes 2.
I agree.
So like, I don't know, but if he balls out, there's a chance he goes 1. Like if he can find a way to beat Indiana, like Indiana's stacked. They are absolutely loaded. I would say the percentage chance goes significantly up if they win. If I had to put a number on it right now, I'm like 60-40 he comes out. I was much higher percentage chance when the Jets were not the number 2 pick. I do think there's a little bit to it of like, the Jets are sitting 2, like I have a good shot at ending up where like quarterbacks go to die. So I think that's what probably brings my percentage a little bit lower than I feel comfortable with.
I'm like 70-30. He comes out a little bit higher than you because they're the top 3 teams all are going to need quarterbacks. The Cardinals are going to move on from Kyler Murray, and the Raiders need a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback, and Arizona does. So to me, he's at worst a top 3 pick, which again, you're going to make significantly more money as a top 3 pick versus going back to school. And I get it, right? Like he goes back and plays $7 million at Oregon. Like that's awesome. Great. Good for him. But you're taking a massive gamble with your future livelihood. To me, I'd rather take the $50 million now than the $7 million and the chance for $50 million again. Because what if he gets hurt? We saw Jordan Travis got hurt and never played again.
Yep.
Drew Aller got hurt this past year. And, if he came out last year, there's a chance he was a first-round pick. He's not going to be a first-round pick this year. Cost himself a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think the argument for him staying in school, there is one that's like not necessarily Jets focused, and it's the idea that having more starts leads to more second contracts for quarterbacks, and that's the argument that Tigo has made with our group chat a bunch of times, where if he goes back, he gets another 12 to 14 starts next year. Now you're all of a sudden you're talking about, okay, he's got 34 games under his belt, potentially a championship run or something like that next year. Then maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable that he could, capture the, $100 million, $200 million contract, beyond that. And it's, super lucrative. The NIL money, it does sound like he's gonna get a pretty good amount if he wants to go back. The numbers I saw getting thrown around were like 7 to 12 million, which is like wildly high because I think Arch is 6 million and that was like the highest. Sorsby I think just got 6 or 7 from Texas Tech to transfer over there. So these NIL deals are getting more and more lucrative, and Nike money is a lot of money if they want to keep him around in Oregon. So I don't know. I guess I don't understand enough about the insurance side of it. Like if I'm Dante Moore and I'm planning to go back, like I'm taking out probably $100 million insurance policy that like, in case I get hurt, like if it's going to cost me $5 million of my $10 million, NIL deal, that's worth it in my mind to have the insurance of like the $100 million. God forbid something happens.
You want the security blanket.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, and it's tough. It's definitely a tough decision, but like, I don't think his mind should be made up. It's like, oh, the Jets are at the number 2 pick. I can't come out and I can't go there. Versus if Cleveland was at the number 2 pick, we're like, oh man, I'm dying to go to Cleveland, but I won't go to the Jets. Or I'm dying to go to the Raiders, but I won't go to the Jets. I don't know. It's weird. I think they're in the same boat.
I think to me, Raiders feel like an all right spot. I think Arizona is a non-tax state too, right? Like Arizona and LA would both be no state income tax. I think Vegas is a very fun city to be in, especially as like a young player. Players are going to want to go play there, but you're in a crazy tough division. Like you might be the 4th team in your division, like consistently because of how good the rest of the, yeah, like at least, I mean, if you come here, you're probably the 3rd best, behind Josh Allen and Drake May. So who knows? But I don't know. 60-40 for me, 70-30 for Matt. I think we both, you know what? Let's do that poll question. Do we think he declares? I see Tigo in chat. Moore going back has nothing to do with the Jets. He dodges us this year just to come to us next year. It's all about legacy and that second NFL contract. So that's exactly what we were just talking about, Tigo. We gave you the props for that from the group chat. Does Dante...
I'm on it. I just posted it.
There you go. Good man. Does he declare? Where were we? Richard comes in and says, Jets organization doesn't know how to develop quarterbacks. When was the last one? Pennington. Yeah, I mean, Pennington's the last one that we feel like we developed. I don't think, Sanchez played well, but we didn't develop him. Geno didn't play well until he got to Seattle. Obviously Sam is balling out right now, clearly developed under O'Connell and under Shanahan. Yeah, I think there's some truth to it. Like, if there's a situation where the Raiders are like, hey, or not the Raiders, the Ravens are like, hey, we're moving off of Lamar. We're just going to hit reset entirely. And Dante Moore's there and whatever. I don't see this being a thing. And I don't think Lamar's waiving his no trade clause for the Jets, but I would give up number 2 overall to get Lamar. If that were an option. Are there other quarterbacks out there that, maybe a veteran route makes more sense because of the lack of development that we've had or because of the need to win immediately from Glenn? Are there any quarterbacks out there that might make sense for the Jets if not a rookie? And I think this probably comes into play more if Moore goes back to school than anything else.
Malik Willis, trade for Tanner McKee. Guys like that, I think, are more likely than doing the Lamar or Joe Burrow conversation. As fun as it is, and as much as I would love to see those players on the Jets, I think you're going into, like I said, you're dipping your toe into seeing if there's anything there with Malik Willis or, hey, is Tanner McKee sitting? He's looked pretty good in the 2 games that he started in the NFL. Is something there?
Yeah, I think the conversation, as much as I don't like Kyler, it does interest me that it's a similar Goff kind of deal, and it allows you that bridge to be able to take a quarterback in 27 and not force the issue right now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I'm pretty confused. I really just hope the 2 quarterbacks come out and the Jets take one of the 2. Like I don't care who it is. I prefer Mendoza, but if it's Moore, I'd rather roll with Moore than the field. Rafi comes in and says, personally, I would trade down from 2, get as many picks as possible because God knows the Jets need an infusion of talent. This team isn't 1 quarterback away. Yeah, but you can still do like the Patrick Mahomes route, like Matt mentioned earlier, like just don't play your rookie quarterback next year or play him in the final game of the season or the last, 4 games of the season or whatever it is. You're going to have to spend a draft pick on a quarterback at some point anyway. And at some point, if you're not at least bringing a higher caliber bridge, like if you bring in a Kyler Murray, like you could probably sell Garrett, you could probably sell Brees on like, hey, there's an opportunity here for a quarterback. We're going to try and bring in a young guy too. Like, if Kyler does get cut, maybe it's bringing in Kyler and drafting a rookie. And that's the bridge you kind of go with. I like the Giants route a lot. Obviously, I don't like Russell Wilson, but I like bringing in Jameis Winston for 2 years. I thought that was really smart. If there's some way to almost do something similar, like Mariota for 2 years as like the backup kind of quarterback would be kind of cool, but I don't know how you get 2 quarterbacks to come here in a free agency that doesn't have many quarterbacks to speak of.
Mariota, Sam Howell, and Dante Moore.
Oh, oh, God damn it.
And pray.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like you said, that's probably the bucket you're looking in.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Cholito says, got to build the O-line and D-line first. This team almost won it all in 2009 and 10 with Sanchez. Ravens won with Dilfer. Yeah, that's a different era, though. There's no Dilfers winning Super Bowls now. I think I'm okay with the Jets defense being trash next year as long as the offense is fully loaded for the young quarterback to get nurtured. And I don't mind getting a high pick next year because that means you probably move off of Glenn, which at least right now I feel like is probably an all right move. And then you wind up getting a high pick to, possibly draft a quarterback next year. I think D-line's going to be an issue for us for sure. I just don't think defensive tackle. I don't think I want to go D-tackling with one of our first 4 picks. Like in my mind, the first 4 picks in any particular order, quarterback, wide receiver, linebacker, and then I fall into this like edge rusher, maybe D-tackle, maybe safety, maybe interior offensive line. I think edge is my preference because of how hard it is to get an edge, and it kind of drafting a year ahead of time, replacing Clemens, figuring out what you want to do with Will McDonald, or if you're going to re-sign JJ, I think is important. I don't know. I guess that would be the approach I'd look for. And edge rusher does kind of solve part of the D line, right?
And they also have a boatload of money to spend too. So they could sign, and maybe you're not signing a stud edge rusher, but you could find defensive tackle talent, or you can find depth at edge. Like I'll bring it up. John Franklin Myers is going to be available. He could play edge or interior defensive lineman. He's probably a $12 to $14 million a year player and not a $25 to $30 million a year guy. But there's ways to improve this defense through the draft and free agency, where I don't think it's going to be 30th again. Hopefully not.
So the player that I'm keeping an eye on, and we've brought this up a few times in terms of using some of our late round picks on players that have been in the NFL, guys that might be on bad contracts that could be cap casualties. Like the Jets are not going to attract many people. Like I'd rather burn some money and get a good player on a bad contract. And then hopefully you can kind of turn it around. And that's how you infuse your team with talent. Rashawn Gary is interesting to me. Packers edge rusher, 28 years old, played football in New Jersey, like 20 minutes from MetLife Stadium. His contract, if traded, would be 2 years, $18 million and $21 million. He's got a $28 million cap hit in a year where the Packers are going to be $8 million in salary cap space. So I think he's probably going to be a cut candidate. That would be a move that I think would be highly advisable for Muji to try and make. You bring in an edge rusher from the area in New Jersey, a guy that's had pretty good stats, if memory serves correct. Let me just
7.5, I believe, each of the last 2 years.
Yeah,
in the sack department.
He had 9 the year before that. Like, that's the move to me that you make, and you swing a late round pick for a guy that is probably going to get cut anyway.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, you have a million picks. You have 2 5ths, 2 or 3 6, another 7th to play around with. Like you have a lot of day 3 capital. You don't need to come away with 7 day 3 guys. You can move that for expiring players. Jesse Bates, the safety, is another good example of that. His cap hit, I believe, for Atlanta's like over 20 million, but for the trading team, it's like 14-ish. He's good. I'd bring him in.
So he's got 1 year left on his deal. It would be a $14 million cap hit, $13 million base salary, $1 million roster bonus. So yeah, $24 million cap hit for the Falcons, but only $14 million for the team that trades for him. That's another great option. Like that's the route. If you can get me Rashawn Gary and Jesse Bates by using like 6th and 7th round picks, all day, those are the moves that the Jets should be making right now.
Yeah, but they traded for Brandon Marshall with a 5th round pick. Everyone looks at overvalued, not everyone, but a large majority, I feel like, overvalue values guys in trades and think that, there's a name that I know they're going to go for a first or second round pick. Like Breece Hall was only getting fourth round pick options back. A guy who's on an expiring deal, who's a good player, but it might be a cut option for a team. They'd probably rather take a fifth round pick back than just cut the guy. So you have that's why you have those picks, is to make moves like that.
And I like that Muji has made those kind of moves already, not only with like Briggs and Brownlee and Phillips, but with the throw-ins of Mechie and Mitchell in those trades as well. Like, I think there's some opportunity to really rebound some of the talent in this next year. Carlos comes in with the 10 spot. Thank you. He says, what if Moore outshines Mendoza in the upcoming college football playoff games, which should result in Mendoza being placed at number 2? Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. That's something Matt and I were discussing a little bit earlier in the stream, is especially if Flores and Dable go to Las Vegas, there's an argument to be made that they kind of fit better with Moore anyway. And from the rumblings we've heard and talking with Dom, a lot of NFL scouts feel like Moore is the preferred quarterback of the two, and which would be perfect for us. I honestly think Mendoza, with the high floor that he has, even if the ceiling is a little more limited than what Dante Moore might provide, I would rather us go that route. There's this little I don't know if he's autistic, but there's like this little bit of it feels like he's all about ball, and he's just like dialed in, like a savant almost, kind of like a mindset. He throws a beautiful ball. He seems like the quarterback you really, really want to get. So I'm hoping that Moore balls out and the Raiders fall in love with him, and we can end up with Mendoza.
Mendoza seems to only care about football and Jesus. That was the line that anytime I heard him talk, it's either about football or religion. And you know what? That's fine. Good for him, right? Like, it's clearly working for him. He's going to be a very high draft pick. And I would take my chances on Fernando Mendoza. I like the traits. I think he can come in and have success in this league. And I would sign up for a guy who's the 12th best quarterback in the NFL, man. I think you can win that way.
Yeah, and if you're telling me a guy that lives and breathes ball, before he went to Indiana, he did so much research on all his teammates at Indiana that he would know all their names before he got there. That is the type of anal processing that I want in a quarterback. A guy that's not going to be the glitz and the glam of New York City. He doesn't really seem like he fits into Sin City and Vegas either, to be perfectly honest. No. So him landing in New York feels like it would just make sense. He almost gives me kind of Sam Darnold, cool, calm, and collected vibes, with just sort of the goofy, I don't know what to say, goofy enthusiasm that I don't even know.
Yeah, that's a good way. No, that's a good way to put goofy enthusiasm. I think is the perfect word. He's a goober. Yeah. That's the word that comes to mind. And you know what? If he's a good quarterback, I don't care. Right? Would I rather a good quarterback who's a goober or a shitty quarterback who has a great personality? I don't really care, man. Win games, play good football.
Yes, 100%. Hennessy comes in and says, top 2 projection, and you don't leave. Wait, top 2 projection, and you don't leave would be dumb. Talking about Dante Moore. Yeah, 100%. We're on the same wavelength. It makes no sense because you're not going to elevate your stock anymore. Next year's first overall pick is going to be Arch Manning. You're not going to get above Arch, in my opinion. Unless Arch has some devastating injury, I don't see him falling off the wagon after what he's done the last half of the season. Guy just looks super special. So yeah, I agree. I think we're both on board with this, both Matt and I. Carlos comes in, thank you again, dude, says, I agree. Mendoza possesses the it factor along with exceptional leadership qualities. He would transform the locker room into a more positive and productive environment. I completely agree. It's just I guess it's the eyeball test or that it factor, that clutch gene. He's got ice water in his veins, and it just you don't see that all the time. And it feels like that is going to translate to the NFL. When I watch him throw, it feels NFL level. beating the best defense in college football in Ohio State, like that does it for me too. If he winds up going through, Oregon, and then let's say he plays, Georgia and Ole Miss on the other side of the bracket, like one of those, and he winds up winning, no shot we're going to have a shot at him. Like he's going to go 1 overall. He still may go 1 overall anyway. I'm confident enough in what I've seen out of Mendoza thus far that if Moore goes out and balls out, I'm like elated to get Mendoza because Moore outshined him.
That the best case scenario is for both of these quarterbacks to play well on Friday, even in a loss, right? Like one of them's got to lose. If Fernando Mendoza and Indiana, if they lose, well, we have a huge body of work this year on Mendoza, and those who already like him. So that's good. And for Dante Moore, if they pull off an upset win and he plays well, that's only going to raise his stock. But even in a loss, if he plays well, I don't think that hurts him. So again, I think you're rooting for points. I'm not rooting for a team on Friday. I'm rooting for both quarterbacks, whoever's on offense.
I see. I had it wrong. Now it's Miami versus Ole Miss on the other side of the bracket over there. Which I feel like Carson Beck's name doesn't come up enough. Like that was a hot name because he was at Georgia. Was it 2 years ago or was it just last year? I think thought it was 2
last year. And then he's at Miami. So he's still alive.
Is he a second round pick, a third round? Like, and what do you think of Chambliss? If he doesn't,
I think he's going to go back. I think he's going to go back to Ole Miss.
You think he gets that 6 year eligibility?
He's fighting hard for it, so I think that kind of shows where his loyalty lies.
Yeah, and it sounds like Ty Simpson's probably going to go to LSU. He entered the transfer portal, or at least is discussing it. This quarterback class just dried up so fast, which I guess might lend itself to more established quarterbacks coming out where you could feel a little more confident. Like maybe we're going to see more quarterbacks having 25 to 35 starts over these next few years because NIL keeps them a little more involved in the college game. But man, I don't know what. Now I got to look at the quarterbacks and who's even out there after this. If Moore goes back to school, Simpson could go back to school. Nussmeier's probably the next guy up. Mateer, I think, could go back. Beck, I think, has to come out. Chambliss could go back. Allar has to come out. I think 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐞 has to come out too, if memory serves correct. But those are like way later picks. Next year's class is looking like loaded. CJ Carr, DJ Lagway, Jaden Maiava, Arch Manning, Julian Sayin, Lenore Sellers. This doesn't even have Darian Mensah on it, but like he'll be in next year's class. And then they list a kid from North Texas, Drew Metzmaker. I haven't watched him, but he's got some really good freaking stats. Dylan Raiola out of Nebraska. Shit.
Patrick Mahomes light.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks just like him, right? That's the look-alike.
And he tries to.
Yeah. I don't know, man. If Dante Moore goes back, I think I just load up the team and hope to bring in like Kyler Murray. Like I think that's kind of where my head's at.
And you probably draft someone on day 2 or day 3 and pray.
Yeah.
You're right. It's probably Kyler and whoever you like on day 2 or day 3.
Yeah. Damn.
That would suck.
This would super burn me up. I don't want this to happen. New York guy says, would you be okay with trading back for more first and second round picks than taking Simpson, Chambliss, Becton with 16th or later round pick? I think the issue for me is I don't think there's a team willing to trade up. Like, I think we'd have to trade too far back to get anything of value. And I'd rather stick and pick a blue chip prospect, even if it's not a premium position. Like, give me the guy that's a definite hit. Like, to me, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, and Sonny Styles. And I probably lean one of Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles in this situation. As kind of the guy I'd want to gravitate towards, even if it's considered like a multiple pick reach, or because like the position isn't as valued. Like, I don't know what a 5th round option on a linebacker looks like. Like, I'm sure it's probably not great. Or even like a 5th round option on a safety is kind of a kick in the balls. Like, I don't know. I'd rather the guaranteed, I shouldn't say guaranteed, the closest thing to a guaranteed guy as opposed to like trading down and just getting like a middle of the pack kind of player. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you like Ty Simpson and want to take him at the end of the first round, I think you're better off trading up from the 2nd round with your 2 second-round picks than trading back.
I think it depends for me where he kind of shakes out. Like, I don't know if I'd rather take him at 16 than trade up. Like, I think it's almost more valuable to trade out of 33 for a team that's trying to get someone to come up and then keep your 44 pick and then pick up like maybe another 3rd and a 2nd to kind of add some additional talent. Because if you're trading back into the 1st to get Ty Simpson, you're probably giving up a 2027 1st, or like your 2nd this year and potentially a 2nd next year to do it. And I think at that point, I'd rather just eat the quarterback pick at 16. I don't know though. Would you draft him at 16 if that were like the case? Like if the cost to trade up to get the 5th year option is like 2 seconds or a 1st next year to like, let's say you had to get up to like 25. Like let's say Denver is sitting there and they're like, because of Muji's connection with them, that's the trade up option. What's an acceptable
Yeah, I think he'll probably go in like that 16 to 25 range. Like I don't think 16 is egregious.
Mm-hmm. And there's a few teams in that range too. Like obviously the Jets are there. I mean, look, the Rams at 13 he could go. The Dolphins at 11 he could go. I mean, I don't think. I guess Detroit. They haven't pulled the trigger on a quarterback yet, right? They still have Goff sitting there. I don't think Minnesota does anything. Minnesota might wind up with Aaron Rodgers next year. I think
I think they'll add a veteran.
Yeah, I agree. Pittsburgh at 21, could draft him. You got.
Wait, I just think you know who Minnesota should get. I'm serious with this.
Yeah.
Tua, in a dome.
Yeah.
Right, like with that offense,
and then you're going against another team in a dome in the Lions. You do have to go into Green Bay and into Chicago for probably 2 cold games a year, but that's no different
Chicago's
than New England, Baltimore.
Dome, no,
what was that?
They're getting a new stadium, Chicago, though, and I think it's going to be a dome.
Is it a dome? I wasn't sure if it was or not. So I mean that's not a bad landing spot. I think if you're Minnesota, you're probably just concerned about maybe the injury history. I think anyone would probably be concerned with that. I wonder if Minnesota would be to complete the Brett Favre arc that is, Aaron Rodgers. It just proves time is like a fucking flat circle.
Yeah, the more things change, huh?
Yeah, like do you think how long of a leash does Kevin O'Connell have with that team after this year? Like, does he get a year or 2 more? Like, because I feel like if you go in with Rodgers, you're probably only giving yourself 1 year. Like, if it goes sideways, I don't know what happens to him. But I think he's a good coach. Yep. Like, I would give him another swing at quarterback.
I think he should get another swing at quarterback. I agree with you. I'd give him more than just the 1 year.
Damn. Tua would make a lot of sense there. Opposite division, like opposite conference. Do you think he'd have to get traded? Would it be like a weird, goofy kind of?
I don't know what the package would look like. He's not going to be Miami's quarterback. I'd be very surprised if he was still in Miami. He had a quote today where it's like it'd be really cool for a new opportunity, or I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what it was. And trying to find a spot for him there. Atlanta, but they're reworking Kirk Cousins' deal, so maybe Kirk just stays in Atlanta. I'm trying to think of teams that have taken swings on young quarterbacks that haven't seemed to really work out yet. I don't know if there's too many other options.
If Tua gets cut, I would be all right with the Jets dabbling in that because you would pay him the vet minimum. Like it would be very similar to the Russell Wilson contract where Miami's on the hook for that deal. But I don't know if he'd want to like go against Miami and like have his shot to maybe be like the guy here, or if he wants to go to a team that gives you like a chance to win. Like Minnesota could very well like turn it around. Like they're very clearly just a Sam Darnold away from being super competitive.
I would think for him personally, he'd be looking for not only just a place to start, but like what's best situation, right? And to me, I mean, I think the Vikings are clearly a better situation.
Yeah, for sure. Other teams, there's not really like anyone else. Yeah, even down the line, everyone's got their quarterbacks. I mean, maybe I don't know what happens with the Rams. Like Stafford's still playing well. If they were to win it all, do you think he hangs it up? Because that would be another area that could.
Another good one. That's another great call out.
Yeah,
He absolutely could.
Go over to LA.
But he's still playing so well. Like if he's
so good.
If his head's in it, I know he's 37 years old, but I know there's a lot of Drake May talk, but Stafford's my MVP. I think he should win the MVP this year.
Yeah, fuck that Drake May guy. I don't want him winning MVP.
He has 46 passing touchdowns this year, dude.
God, insane. He can't hang it up.
And the most passing yards.
He's so good. Let's see. We got Let Me In says, imagining a Seahawks versus Steelers Super Bowl. Typical Jets luck. Football gods really hate us. Did you see the thing with the Seahawks where the last two times they went to the Super Bowl, it was when the new Pope was picked, and we got the new Pope now, and they got the 1 seed in the fucking NFC.
See that.
God,
I did see that. That's a great stat. Huh? Are they gonna? What do we do if it's a Steelers and Seahawks Super Bowl?
I'm pulling Sam Darnold all day. I want Sammy to.
Yeah.
Sam just has a place in my heart because I don't think he did us wrong. I don't think we did him wrong necessarily. Like I think the hiring of Gase was like Woody fucked up, but like Sam kind of always handled his stuff, gracefully. Like even Rodgers, like as much as I don't want to see him succeed, like he took less money to come here. He did like all the right stuff that first year. Like it was magical. Like I would rather it be Sam Darnold, I think, than Rodgers, even if it just means Rodgers riding off the sunset.
Right. And I'm with you on that. I don't dislike Sam Darnold personally. I just hate that 6 years later, we're still talking about Sam Darnold and the Jets, and that, Dan Orlovsky had the thing earlier this week where it's like the Jets should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know. Minnesota's arguably worse. They were 14-3 and let him lead.
Yeah, like that makes no sense to me. Like if anything, it should be Minnesota getting all the flack for it. I mean, you could even say Carolina. Carolina had Baker and had Sam.
They had both.
Like,
they had both of them.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts.
So that's the only thing that drives me a little crazy with Sam. I don't like that every time he has a good game that Twitter cries about the Jets moving on from Sam Darnold when they did.
Yeah, they can. Jets Twitter occasionally drives me. I shouldn't say occasionally. It drives me up a fucking wall. Like we have a lot of really smart and awesome dedicated fans, and then we got a lot of fucking dummies out there. Like the amount of times that and I think I'm going back to like the Bowers boys / Olu conversation, like that just had me over a fucking barrel. And you can even
it just
go back,
gets so toxic.
It does. It feels very like fucking spitting nails. Like I'm right and you're wrong all the time, and this is like my way or the highway. It's like no, there's like a lot of nuance that goes into this. Like I don't know. I don't think
That's why I like YouTube. That's why I like YouTube videos better. I feel like you have a little bit more time than the 240 it's more than 240 characters now, but you know what I mean. You can get kind of expand on the convo a little bit more. I think nuance is important. Don't lose nuance. There's a lot of gray area in sports talk. It's not so black and white.
Completely agree. JJ says I want Gunnar Stockton next year. He's tough as nails. Yeah, there's so many good quarterbacks next year. I very much would like to wait on quarterback, especially if Moore doesn't come out. Like, I don't want them to force the envelope. Is there any world where Glenn gets canned like in this offseason, like towards like the end of, like, let's say Moore doesn't go back to school. I don't even know if that's like the right way to think about it.
Then they'll miss out on every coach. Like I understand what you're trying to say, but you're gonna miss out on the window who you're gonna get.
Yeah. I feel like if Moore doesn't come out, it's a bridge quarterback. We're gonna wind up with Kyler probably. It's like, I feel kind of confident on that. I don't love it. Shit, man, I don't know.
It sucks. It really sucks.
We would get the number 2 pick in a 1 quarterback class. That would be us. JJ says, Love will be there at 16. I would do that. I don't think he's going to be there at all at 16. I don't think he gets out of the top 10. I think his floor is Kansas City.
Yep. Or maybe the Falcons. I meant the Saints. I'm sorry. I was looking at the Saints logo and said Falcons for some reason, but I was thinking the Saints, or most likely is going to be Kansas City, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Kansas City would trade up, and I don't know which team. If the Titans are interested in falling back, the connection they have with the Chiefs, I could totally see some type of deal get worked out there where it's like, hey, we'll give Nagy an extra 1 next year to go up to 4 to go get, Love if they're afraid that someone's going to jump on him. I don't think he makes it to 16 at all. When I'm looking at and Tankathon's not really like the best, use case for this, but like when I'm looking at which one is it? I gotta go on this side. Sorry. When I'm looking at like the top of this draft board, I guess I'll go mock draft. I'll go this way. Like guys that could be around that 16. Like I don't want the Jets to go cornerback. They have, was it Jermod
McCoy? Nah, I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
Like to me, Lemon, Ty Simpson, an edge rusher, like any one of those would make more sense. Caden McDonald would make more sense to me. Like I don't particularly want to go D tackle, but like I would rather him or Peter Woods over a cornerback. Sonny Styles going 1 pick in front of us would burn me up.
That really sucks, but I mean, Tampa Bay could use linebacker, and that's a spot that I think makes a lot of sense for him. But that would really stink. That was like, who was it a few years ago that went 1 pick? Was it Rome Odunze?
Rome Odunze went 1 before us. Yeah, he went to the Bears at, what was it, pick 9, and we had pick 10. And then we traded back to...
And they still got Olu. And I'm obviously very happy with Olu. But that's just one in recent memory that stands out where I think we all thought, oh, man, Rome Odunze is going to end up here with the Jets.
Dude, what's crazy is if Sonny Styles goes 15, actually, no, it wouldn't have mattered because we needed Baltimore to win, but Tampa Bay would have been 14. We would have been 15. So it's still... We wouldn't have leapfrogged Tampa Bay either way. God damn. I would love to find a way to get Sonny Styles. I think of anyone in this draft class, he's the one that's like, feels like we kind of need that position the most. Like linebacker has just been so weak. And I know Green Bean's been talking about it a lot. We just kind of need that snarling linebacker that can go lay the wood. And there's a few good linebackers too. Like it doesn't necessarily, I guess, have to be him. CJ Allen out of Georgia is going to be pretty good.
He might be in play at pick 33 at the top of the second round.
I agree. I think him and Anthony Hill Jr. are the 2 guys that Jet fans should kind of keep an eye on at the top of round 2. A few other guys too. I mean, honestly, there's a few guys in here. Where's my? I have Tankathon up on 2 different screens. I'm scrolling on one, not scrolling towards the other.
On the wrong one.
Yeah. Like guys like Chris Bell, Jeremy Bernard. Bernard is a sneaky good wide receiver. Like I don't know. I didn't watch enough Alabama to know why he's like as low as he is, but I know Dom's pretty high on him.
I like Surratt from Indiana in the second round.
Yeah, where's he at? Is he? They have him in the first round, or is he in the second round? I think he's in the second round.
I don't know. I'm not seeing him here.
They have him at the end of the first round to Denver.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, end of the second round.
End of the second round.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean first. But yeah, that would be...
63 feels low for him. I think he's going to be a top 50 pick.
I agree. I think he'll elevate a bit more. I see a lot of Jet fans like the safety from what the hell's his name from LSU, AJ Halsey.
Yeah.
Halsey. I don't hate going safety.
It's a big need, dude. Like
it really
we
is.
can't afford to turn our nose up at linebacker or safety with how bad both of those positions are for this team.
Yeah, it's been absolutely horrible. So if you could, I'm starting to formulate like my mock off season as we're having these discussions tonight, and like I think I'm gonna have Jesse Bates and Rashawn Gary as like the two guys that I want to find a way to bring over here. Like, there's no world where either one of those guys should be cut without the Jets offering a day 3 pick for both of them.
Yeah, I have. I started my today, so I always do my fixing the New York Jets for insert the next year here, and I started my work on that. I'm aiming for Thursday. Thursday's the goal, but it might be Friday. The reason I brought up Jesse Bates before is because I'll give you a preview. That was one of my options. I was looking at some interior defensive linemen too today. I didn't end up mocking that. I believe I looked in free agency. I don't want to give the full thing away tonight, but the Jesse Bates play is a wise one. I think
that's a really, really good call out. Where were we in here? Sam asks, would you be open to trading number 2 for the Rams first rounders? Yeah, I'd be open to it.
For both of them?
Yeah, if you get both of them. So you're talking, what would it be? It'd be pick, I guess we don't know what the back end one is, but you'd be sitting at pick 13. So you'd have 13, 16, and like 29. Like, say they make it to the NFC Championship game, at least. 3, and then you'd have pick 33 also. You would have to tell me that Dante Moore doesn't want to play for the Jets, I think.
Yeah.
Like that.
Man.
If Mendoza's like, I'm not making any trade until Mendoza's off the board. That's like kind of my sticking point right now. And then if
I think you need. Sorry to jump, but I was gonna say I think I need more than that.
You probably
2 to 13 is far, man.
Let's see what the trade value chart has this at. Trade value chart. So to go from pick 2 to what did I say they were? Pick 11 or no 13. 13.
Yeah, 13 and
so the Jets are 2,600 points. 13 is 1150. So if you get 13, yeah, you'd probably need another first next year. It'd probably have to be their 2 first plus a first next year, which I think if they're coming up and they want Dante Moore, I think that's a fine package to get. Then you get 4 first-round picks in 27, and you have 3 first-round picks in this year. That's fucking nuts. That's a lot of picks.
That is nuts.
Especially if you're going the route of like a Kyler Murray and you just fucking pump this team full of talent. If you could get if you get 3 ones from the Rams, I would do it.
Then okay, let's play. Since we're in this game, let's play it. Who are your targets at 13, 16, and 29?
Okay, so 13, 16, and 29. Let's
Sonny, obviously your boy.
Sonny
right?
Styles would probably be my first selection. Then probably Mekhi Lemon. And then
I'm thinking either CJ Allen or an edge rusher.
So after getting Sonny Styles?
Oh no, after okay, so no, so then
like,
I'm thinking
let's say 13 is Sonny Styles, 16 is Mekhi Lemon, 29 I'm probably thinking either offensive line, like Emmanuel Pregnon is interesting to me, but that 5th-year option is, you can't really go guard in the first round. Probably edge rusher. It'd be some type of edge rusher.
I like Cassius Howell.
I was going to say, that's what I'm
Texas
looking
A&M.
at. They have him going 30 to the Patriots right now. 11.5 sacks this year, 6'2", 248. I think I'm on board with that. I think it would be edge rusher, get the 5th-year option. And then top of the second round, you still have 2 more picks. You got 33 and 44 still. So then you can get your safety. You could get your, that's my, if you get the opportunity to move out of 2 for 3 picks from the Rams, I'm doing that all day.
It's got to be the 3 ones, like you said, but
yeah. Well, because you got to think that, like, Stafford, could play next year also. Like, I think there's a world where they could move all the picks and say, hey, this is the guy we're going with. We like our team as is right now for the next, for at least one more season. If they liked Moore enough to give up 3 ones, I'm doing that. And then I'm cool with rolling with Kyler for a year. And now you have 4 picks in 2027. Like, that, you have so much talent then. That's my move.
I mean,
absolutely, all day. If that's a thing, all day.
I get it. I think the Jets would just take Dante Moore.
God,
though, from Aaron Glenn and Darren, I'm looking at it through Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji's perspective. I think they would take the swing on the quarterback due to the fear that if they don't do it this year, they may never get that opportunity.
Yeah. Fuck.
But I mean, we can make it work with 13, 16, 29, 33, and 44.
Fuck, that's so many picks. That's so many. Oh, God, I would love. That's probably one of the trades, one of the only trades I'd really consider, because I don't think there's another team that would give up. Like, Cleveland's not trading up for a quarterback this year. That's not, I don't think that's in the cards for them. I think they would be more apt to, like, if they had the 2 pick, like, and they wanted to take more, like, I think that would be fine. But I don't see them trading up. I don't think any other team has multiple ones other than the Rams.
Cleveland?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Cleveland's not trading up for a quarterback, I don't think. With $80 million in dead, like $80 million towards Watson, you got Sanders for another year. Like, I think their best route is to stack talent and then go for a quarterback in 27. Like, if I were them, that would be my move.
Okay.
But the Rams, I think, are interesting. It depends.
Because they're still kind of in a go for it window. Like, that team is still really good outside of Matthew Stafford. And if they think, hey, like, we can still be a playoff team with Dante Moore.
Yeah. Like that. It depends.
I see it from there.
Because this is also a draft that you don't kind of mind giving up multiple picks. Like, Dom is kind of the belief that there's like 11 or 12 first round grade caliber guys. And then everyone else is just kind of like middle-ish of the pack. Like the middle of the first round through the entirety of the second round could kind of go any number of ways in his mind, I think is where his head's at. So if there was a year to give up multiple picks to get a guy, it's not really the worst one to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck. I want
again, and again, like I said, I get it. And that'd be really fun to talk about, right. In our trade down world. I just personally have a hard time seeing Glenn and Muji pass up on a quarterback.
Yeah. Scuba says, imagine Miami trading Tua to Vegas, including him in a pick swap to leap us for Mendoza. We'd have to switch divisions to the NFC South to survive. I would be so mad. If Vegas gives up the number 1 pick, and I mean, you'd have to also get probably 2 ones from Miami plus Tua to get at least to get up to 1. It probably might even cost more than that, because where's Miami picking? Miami's pick 10, 11.
9.
They're picking 11.
Oh, 11. Okay.
And to get up to 1, especially to leapfrog a division rival. And do the Raiders actually want Tua like that? Like, that to me is just insane. Scuba, you're nuts. I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
I don't want to see that happen.
No, that would really suck. Dante says, do you prefer CJ Allen or the linebacker from Texas? I don't know. I don't really have a strong feeling on either one right now. I had CJ Allen in my the video I made this week of guys to look at for pick 33. I like Georgia a lot. I think when you start drafting guys from the best defenses in college football, Georgia, Ohio State, it's hard for you to go wrong. I don't know where Texas finished as far as like defensive rankings were. But if Allen's gone, yeah, I don't mind going Anthony Hill Jr. There's even the kid from Texas Tech that should go relatively high, like second or third round, right? What the hell was his name?
Rodriguez.
Yeah. I think he'll go kind of.
I mean, that's a great defense. I think I like CJ Allen a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I don't think it's a massive gap where I'm like, oh my God, like if we missed out on CJ Allen and had to take Anthony Hill, that it's like some catastrophic thing.
Yeah. Just looking at the two of them from like a bird's eye view, Anthony Hill Jr. is 2 inches taller. They're the same weight. Allen has 19 more tackles, Anthony Hill Jr. has a half a sack more. Allen has 4 passes defense to Anthony Jr.'s 1. But Anthony Hill has the 2 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles, where Allen has 2 forced fumbles and no interceptions. So you could probably convince me on really. I think we got to pull a linebacker. There's got to be some linebacker in this group. And honestly, the top 100 has like I think 8 linebackers that are really good. Jacob Rodriguez, who has a shit ton of tackles, he's got like 50 more tackles than like the next best like linebacker. 4 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles. Tankathon has him ranked 142nd right now, which I don't know if like is his age like a factor. Like why is he as low? Oh, he's 20. He's gonna be 24, so maybe that's part of it. Had a ton of tackles last year too. Still a lot of forced fumbles last year. Man, I don't mind double dipping at linebacker if he's there later on too.
And sign one.
Yeah, I would sign one.
Like, seriously,
there's honestly a lot of directions I would go with linebacker, and I'd be very, very optimistic with or not, I don't know if optimistic is the right word. I have no problem double dipping and adding more and more. What about Torian York? What about him? I have no fucking clue who he is.
He's from A&M, another linebacker.
Let's see. What are his stats? Linebacker. Oh, yes. 6 foot, 235 pounds, 3 passes defense. He's ranked 84th. So he would be a 3rd round pick, which we don't currently have. I get the feeling the Jets aren't going to make one of the 2 second-round picks. Like, I think one of those are going to be dealt to try and get a 3rd round pick. There's just 60 picks between 44 and 104 when we go again that I feel like I'd be a little surprised if we waited that long.
Yeah. And I think we saw Muji move around a little bit last year too. And that was with trade ups, but I agree with you.
As far as Torian York, I have not watched him, so I won't tell you how I feel about it, but based on where he's ranked, why not? Sure. Give me all the linebackers. Based on what we've seen in the last few years, I think we could go a lot worse. Matt, we are towards the end of our show now. Let's take a look.
Should I add some to last week?
Yeah, let's look at last week's. Have you been doing any of the winner
Yes,
things?
I did a few.
Cool.
I can't tell you exactly how many, but a decent amount. I've been keeping track with the super chats too.
Oh, perfect. All right, so you've got that too.
So we could just have it all on the same one list here.
Awesome.
But I'm pulling up from last week. I'll read out the names that I add as I add them here.
Mm-hmm.
We have Gangrene 44, Gangrene 44, Andrew Grzanka, Sing Sing, who won last week. Shout out Sing Sing. Pure Imagination. Wesley Gates. 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐫𝐢𝐻. And that's it. So I'm up to 48 names.
All right. Chat, give us a number 1 through 48. I'm going to pick, I don't know. What number do we want to say? How many numbers? There's a special number out there. Dante Moore is number 5. He wears number 5. Let's give the 5th number 1 through 48. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 24 is the number. Who's 24, Matt?
Adirondack Fly Guy.
Ooh, Adirondack Fly Guy. You have won our qualifier. Let's see what you get here. Go over to the spin wheel. And give it a Adirondack Fly Guy. Let's see what he gets. He gets a hat. Adirondack Fly Guy. You get yourself a green beanie or a ball cap. Reach out, jetstalk247@gmail.com or talkinjetshow@gmail.com. Link in the description down below for the spelling of the email if you want to reach out to us. We'll get your shipping information, get your hat size and whatnot, and we'll send it out your way. Matt, got a little bit of time here. Any last words? Anything you want to throw out there to the people in the chat?
Yes, I'll be streaming with Egghead tomorrow. Me and Jeremy will go on and talk about some fun stuff and fight with people in the chat like we usually do on Wednesdays. And like I said, I'm working on my Fixing the New York Jets for 2026. That'll come out Thursday or Friday is my estimation. That's always my favorite video that I make every year. So adding another year to this until the Jets are actually fixed.
Hopefully we don't have to do too many of these Fixed the New York Jets videos much longer. Boys, been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys tonight. I'm sure I'll have some videos out over the next few days. Now that we're in the off-season mode, things aren't necessarily as time sensitive, so it's a little bit easier to kind of put out some content and whatnot. We'll have some exciting news in the coming weeks about the draft party. Stay in mind.
Yes.
Keep that in mind. The first night of the NFL draft, we are going to be doing a massive Talkin Jets draft party, and we will make that officially official. Probably closer to the Super Bowl is my guess is when we're going to actually let everyone know that. But keep an eye out for that. If you guys leave us some comments down below, we'll respond to you. And yeah. We'll see you guys next week, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, to talk some Jets.
Just go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the pouch. Screw green bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls.
Freeze run.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Jets!